Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans History Project brought to you by the Lawrence County Museum. I'm Brad Bough, along with my co-host today, I suppose, Joe Voris. Please keep Lee Hutchinson in your prayers. He's a little under the weather today and couldn't be with us. But our special guest today is Master Sergeant Jerome Brown, United States Marine Corps retired, and his sidekick, Echo. We'll be talking about the service that Master Sergeant Brown performed while he was in the United States Marine Corps and the importance of having service dogs for veterans who have performed duties such as Master Sergeant Brown did. Jerome, welcome to the Indiana History, or Veterans History Project, excuse me. And let's start talking about your Marine Corps.
Well, Brad,
services.
First off, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
And Echo in here. I know I've brought Echo around quite a bit to various parts of Lawrence County, and everybody just seems to love him every time I bring him in. So thanks for inviting us to do this. So what was it that you were asking?
When did you go in the Marine Corps?
I went into the Marine Corps November 8th of 1998.
1998.
Yeah, been a few years ago, and then as of April 1st of 2021, I retired.
Several years in the Marine Corps.
22 and a half. Yeah, 22 and a half years, just about.
Where all did you serve while you were in the Marine Corps?
Oh, well, so the thing about the Marine Corps is they have the smallest number of bases. So I didn't serve a whole lot of places, but I served everywhere a Marine could serve. So I've served in Camp Pendleton, California, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Quantico, Virginia, and Okinawa, Japan. And then, of course, all the various deployments throughout the world that I've done.
Well, the Marine Corps is the world's policeman, it would seem.
It is.
Whether we like it or not, the United States, we are the world's policeman.
That's right.
Were you in Iraq? Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I went to Iraq. Just a little short story. It kind of ties in with having the K9. I was a combat tracker whenever I went to Iraq in 2006, 2007. I deployed with 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines. That's 1-3 out of Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii. They're part of the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force, the 3rd Marine Division out of Okinawa. But they're stationed in Hawaii. So I was an individual augment to go on that deployment to utilize human scent capability. So we, prior to the deployment, there were 12 of us, 12 Marines, 4 from each main duty station that the Marine Corps has, and we got trained up for tracking and trailing with the utilization of a K9.
And what type of dogs did you use?
So this was a beta test that we did. So it was a developmental program, so they wanted to try a bunch of different types of dogs. Primarily, we use Labs. Labradors have great noses. They're docile. They're content. They're easily trainable. But there were a few Malinois and a few German Shepherds. We even tried a couple of Springer Spaniels, a couple of Dutch Shepherds. Just kind of a wide array of those type of working dogs, or a sporting type dog.
And when I was in Korea as a dog handler, I actually handled a French Bouvier.
Yeah,
they're good boys.
Yeah, the dog that I had was a chocolate lab. My understanding is that he was purchased from Lackland Air Force Base, where the majority of all canines get purchased and funneled through for any type of military working dog program, as you might know.
Where I did my training at.
Yep, he got purchased through Extreme Canine Imports, and he was a European-style chocolate lab, so he was a little larger. A lot of people look at a lab and they're, 60, 70, 80 pounds. They're kind of short. He was 100 pounds of just solid chocolate lab. He was a big old boy.
Yeah, those are big labs. I had a big female lab for my personal dog.
Yeah.
She was 80 pounds, so that was pretty big for a black lab, a female black lab.
Definitely big for a female black lab, yep.
But she was a good girl.
So we got trained up. We deployed over there, and our primary mission was to help assist in hunting insurgency. Because what was primarily happening back in the day with the IEDs and things like that is these insurgents, they would plant IEDs and they would set those IEDs off, and they do it from a distance, whether it be radio controlled or timer controlled or the use of command wire.
Even telephone controls in
Right.
some cases.
Yeah, exactly. And what they would do is they would pop it and then slide back into town undetected. So they couldn't figure out who was planting the IEDs and things like that. So they utilized, they went back to the basics. I mean, nothing beats a dog's nose. You can't hide from a dog. It's
No, you can't.
impossible. Absolutely impossible to hide from a dog. So they brought tracking capability to the Marine Corps because, it was tried and true back in World War II. World War II, the Marine Corps utilized a lot of tracking type dogs in Guam, actually, when the Japanese were trying to take over Guam back in the day. And then, of course, the Army continued with the program into Vietnam. And that's who actually trained us was a couple of Vietnam tracking team guys.
Did you ever observe any route clearance dogs while you were in Iraq? They would
Yeah.
they used them on a 30-foot leash. That's only 10
yeah.
yards. That's not much when you're dealing with a high explosive device.
Yeah.
I've got a 30-foot leash in my office. I probably
Yeah.
showed it to you before. I just keep it as a souvenir. No, I didn't work a route clearance dog or anything like that. Mine was drugs.
Yeah.
And yes, we would let our dogs go out on a 30-foot leash to look for drugs too.
Yep.
Same difference. Give them some room and let them go out and find it.
Yeah. Aside from the tracking dog, I was strictly a tracking and trailing canine combat tracker. There were a bunch of other types of dogs that were dual purpose type dogs where they would utilize them for bite or aggression, to take down insurgency or a suspect in this case or whichever. And then they would also be used for explosive detection or things like that. So what a lot of the guys were doing over there was running their dogs off leash, doing a lot of off leash training so that they could utilize that dog from a distance.
That makes sense.
And route clearance, yeah.
And I did see some videos of our troops in Iraq going house to house, doing searches, but they didn't have any dogs with them. And I thought they're moving basically naked through enemy territory. You should utilize those dogs. That's what they're there for, is to save the man. Hate to be cruel about it, but the dog takes the bullet, not the soldier or the Marine in your case.
Right. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, that does happen. A lot of canines and their handlers ended up injured or even KIA over there. But that's what the military is for, and it's what we sign up for. And it's better to fight the enemy on foreign soil than to fight them over here.
That's very true. We found out fighting them over here is 9/11, prime example.
Yeah, that's no good. I mean, prior to that, the largest scale attack on the United States was in Pearl Harbor, and then we saw what happened. What happened there. So, but yeah, that's what I did primarily.
The last time we had a major force on U.S. soil was the War of 1812.
Yeah.
We have not had a major force on U.S. soil, unless you want to count the Civil War, but that was American against American, so it really wasn't a foreign force on U.S. soil.
Yeah.
So you are correct. It's better to fight them over there than to fight them here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just that's the law of war, and the nature of it is sometimes things like that happen.
And as a dog handler, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Because you were right there with it. And oftentimes you would hear the story, the dog goes up, makes the detection, the handler's far enough away, and the enemy realizes they're not going to take anybody else out, so they'll just take the dog out with the device.
So while I was in Iraq, I know one of the other guys on the other tracking team, he had actually took a round in the leg. And the reason they just took a round in the leg was due to dog handlers had a bounty. If anybody knows anything about military working dogs, they tattoo the left ear with their Julian date number on there. That's to signify, what batch, if you will, and what day of the year that they were born. So, like in his case, if you went by Julian date, he would be 042. Now, he doesn't have a alphanumeric like an Alpha Bravo Charlie or anything like that because he's not a military working dog. He's just,
Yes, I know exactly. My
Yeah.
very first patrol dog was Roma, black and tan German Shepherd, and her number was D097.
yeah,
And then the next patrol dog slash drug dog that I handled was Baron, and he was N075.
Yeah.
You just remember your
Yeah.
dogs, just like you had to remember your serial number in
Oh,
basic.
yeah,
As a dog
definitely.
handler, you have to remember your dog's serial number because the veterinarian's going to ask.
yeah. Taz was Kilo 216, and that was his kill number, his tattoo number. But I actually have a tattoo of my dog on me. That's how much attachment you grow to being a dog handler and spending 24/7 with that same canine for years and years and deploying together. And I mean, there was no such thing as a day off, but the reward of having a dog and being with the dog and having that kind of bond and companionship, it's something you don't want to let go of. And that's why a lot of people turn to a lot of prior military service guys or retired or people who have gotten out. They turn to something like a service dog.
Very calming.
Yeah, it
Dogs
is.
are very, to me anyway, they're very
Yeah.
calming.
It can be very calming. Now, mind you, sitting right here, Mr. Echo here is a 5-month-old Belgian Malinois. If anybody knows anything about Belgian Malinois, they got 2 speeds. They're either asleep or 100 miles an hour. And right now he's in sleep mode only because he has a pig ear.
It's hard to evade a dog.
Yeah, yep. But it is calming. It doesn't, dogs are great. Doesn't matter what kind of day you're having or what kind of day they had or what kind of day anybody had. You come home, if the dog's been away from you for any amount of time, they're always so excited to see you and they always want your attention and to jump in your lap, and they always give you the affection that you seem to need.
In military dogs, did you find, I personally found this to be factual, is the female dogs were more protective,
Yep.
the male dogs were more aggressive.
Yep, very much so. Yeah, I saw a lot of that, just working with all the various canines that, we were around. It's definitely like that.
My female dogs would come in close. You didn't want to come within their area, so
No.
to speak, or they would get you.
Yep, definitely.
The males, they would lunge out and try to go after you, where the female would come back and she would be waiting on you
Yeah.
to come within her domain, so to speak. And
Yeah,
then
the
she's gonna-
female working dogs, they always seem to plot, whereas the male dogs, they just kind of instinctually ran with what they do, the alpha dominance of the male working dog, but the females were very meticulous. It's almost like they would plot what they're about to do next.
And Roma did not want women coming anywhere around me. She
Yeah.
would be very aggressive toward women.
Right.
And I think that was what you were talking about, the alpha female type.
Yeah. Another pig ear. That'll keep him busy for a minute. You can have it, bud.
You're a good boy, Echo.
He is a good boy.
You can just see the intelligence dripping off of him, if you will, when you speak to him,
Yeah.
the way he looks at you.
Well, for the people who don't know, Malinois are up there with the in the top of the intelligence spectrum of canine. All dogs are smart. All dogs are smart in their own way. You got different classes of dog. You have sporting dog, show dog, working dog, so on and so forth. And you have primarily your pets, which are your much smaller, usually carry them with you type of dog. And all the intelligences vary across the board, but it's always been rivaled between the Australian Shepherd and the Belgian Malinois for the 2 smartest breeds. Smartest breeds just meaning the ability to, I think, train or the trainability. The Malinois are just very quick to catch on. I mean, he will watch everything you do, everything, and they retain that information. Even though a dog is 80-20, 80% instinct and 20%, knowledge base, he'll watch everything you do and remember. He doesn't forget.
How much does he weigh right now?
He's about 57 pounds, and he's just short of 6 months old. He'll be 6 months old on the 11th. So in about a week. So he's still just a baby, and I think he's going to be a giant in comparison to a lot of other Malinois.
Of course.
Yeah.
And we had a little female Malinois when I was working with the Department of Corrections. She was at the state farm. Her name was Zelly. Very small Malinois, probably didn't even weigh 50 pounds.
Yeah.
But when she come in on the attack, it was full speed and
Yeah.
full weight
Yeah.
and full impact. No hesitation, no holding back. Even though
Yeah.
she was small, she still was a fighter.
I've seen a lot of small Malinois. You wouldn't think much of them, but I've seen them take down, Marines that are, with all their gear on and a bite suit. They're 250 pounds. I mean, they just get slung around like rag dolls. The Malinois has the nickname of a fur missile for a reason. They'll come at you at full tilt, and they don't stop. Now, of course, this dog, he's not being trained in any type of bite or aggression or anything like that. Specifically, I am training him to be a service dog.
Instinctively, though, if I were to show aggression towards you and perhaps strike you, even at 5 months, he might
Oh yeah,
come after me
and that's just
in an aggressive manner.
Right, and that's a bond thing, right? And you
Yes,
and
it
you know
is.
that with working with canines before. It's primarily anybody who has a dog. If somebody showed aggression toward the owner of that dog, the dog is going to have some form of reaction. Now, a Malinois might have a little bit more of a impactful reaction, if you will, because Malinois are just very bitey instinctually, very protective and very dominant of their handler.
I've never had a dog that wasn't protective,
Yeah,
but the females seem to be more protective. The males are aggressive. They will go
Yeah.
out. The civilian police dogs are very docile when commanded to be so.
yep,
My military dogs, you try to pet them, probably the same with yours. You're going to pull back a bloody stump,
yep.
but it's a different mission.
Right, different mission, different scenario.
In the Air Force, we were protecting nuclear weapons.
Yeah,
Bottom line, the Strategic Air Command, we had B-52 bombers back in my day
yeah,
that were loaded with nuclear weapons. So yes, it was an extremely different mission.
right,
The local police, they're for law enforcement.
yep. Now, my dog in the Marine Corps that I ran, my chocolate lab, he was just a lab. He was a lover. He wanted to see everybody and play with everybody. He didn't have an enemy. Everybody was his buddy, and that was fine. And I wanted that interaction because he knew when to turn the switch on, when it was time to work, and when it was time for play. And
You can't believe how mean these Bouviers would get.
oh yeah,
They look
I-
like a poodle on steroids,
Yeah.
and you think, oh, they're just a fuzzy little love pup, and
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah. Now I've purposefully, since he was little, he's in a phase of training currently where he doesn't always go with me, only because he's in the adolescent years as a 5-month-old, right? Because they start to go into sexual maturity. Then they start being just rowdy and rambunctious and wanting to play and not listen, kind of just like a preteen or a young toddler would.
The terrible twos, so to speak.
Exactly. But in the beginning, when I got him at 8 weeks old, for the first, month and a half, 2 months, I brought him with me everywhere. And you saw I brought him over to
Absolutely.
to your office before, and around here, and
And he just wants to be everybody's buddy, just like you were talking about.
that's purposeful so that he gets used to being around different types of people, different smells. It helps build his what's the word I'm looking for?
Socialization.
That's it. Socialization, just getting him around all those different things so he's not it's not all new to him. Just bringing him out, keeping him home until he's a year old, and then you take him out, and he's like, "Oh, what is all this? I've never seen this." He's going to act a lot different. So, but currently, he's in the phase of training where we train every day, every night when I get home from work. He still goes with me places, like if I got to run to somewhere, one of the stores, he'll go with me, or we go to the park quite a bit, to Spring Mill or something like that. But he's in the phase where he spends the majority of his day at home, and then I get home and we do specific types of training. And it's basically, we're still just basic obedience.
Does he love the water?
No,
No.
no. He's the first dog I've ever seen not like the water. He doesn't like baths. He doesn't like water.
So he doesn't go charging into the creek at
No.
Spring Mill.
Well, the funny thing is he'll do that, but you try to give him a bath, it's like almost you got to put a muzzle and a straitjacket on him just to get his tail wet. But
Well, he may grow out of that,
and he
too.
probably will, because it's new, and I didn't introduce it correctly when he was little, and it's better to introduce those types of things when they're small. And I just didn't do it correctly. That, as a dog handler and trainer, anybody can be a dog handler and trainer. It's the amount that you know and how to do it correctly, and sometimes we mess up too. But yeah, as you said, he'll grow out of that.
The thing that I've noticed about a lot of dog handlers is they don't praise like they should.
No.
These dogs will eat that praise up, and they'll
Yeah.
want to do what you want them to do just for your praise.
A lot of people do get that wrong. Now, if you see he's chewing on a pig ear, that's just because that's his usual snack in the evening. I usually just give him a snack of a pig ear. And then this in here, hit the microphone, sorry. But this in here has got his training treats in it. And they're just the little dog training treats that I'll give him. But a lot of times when I give him a command, he does good. He gets this. But like you were saying, people really underestimate the value of just giving your dog a good praise when they do something good. I think a lot more positive reinforcement does better for the dog than any type of negative correction or anything like that. A lot of people you'll see, they might yell at their dog or be heavy-handed with the leash, whenever they pull on the leash and they tell the dog no or something like that. He doesn't respond well to negative criticism or reaction or things like that. He wants solid, good praise all the time, so he's going to purposefully do a lot more to get that positive reaction out of me and tell him good boy and give him a little treat for doing the right thing.
Say, I'm 100% confident he could be a very good police dog.
Oh, I bet he would. He would be a magnificent police dog.
But we've got him for a different mission.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. He currently.
I think you did a good job in selecting him as your service dog.
Now it's a little unorthodox, if you will, to see Malinois as a service dog. Here's the thing about service dogs. Service dogs can be any breed, any type, any size, any shape, any color. It doesn't matter. It's about the training that you put into it and what the dog is being trained to specifically do for the service, for the veteran.
I don't know about the 1990s, but in the 1980s, there were even some smaller dogs that we had just for drug detection, because on board carriers and inside large aircraft, you couldn't get dogs like that into the areas where you needed. So you'd carry that dog and let it sniff.
Yeah.
You
could do that, yeah.
Yeah. And they would bark and let you know if there were drugs there. I never handled any of those dogs.
Right.
But it got to be a joke about, hey, maybe you need a Chihuahua. Yeah. Don't laugh about it, because Chihuahuas got a nose too. They can smell
dog,
just like any other dog.
Different mission.
That's it, exactly, 100%.
Dogs are always going to be dogs, and you can't outbeat a dog when it comes to their olfactory senses and their noses. A lot of people ask me whenever I was tracking with the dog, some of the tracks that we did, people were just kind of blown away, like, oh my God, I can't believe you found found this? Like, how did you do that with a dog? Well, the thing about a dog is a dog can smell way better than we can, and everyone knows that. It's impossible to hide from a dog, um, just because of the information that the dog is able to process whenever it takes it into its olfactory senses. How I break it down is, you and I could go to Little Caesars and we smell pizza, right? I take him in there, he smells every ingredient that's on the pizza individually, and then smells specifically what is the pepperoni made of. Basically, that's the
And if he were
breakdown of a
trained
dog.
to detect onions, as an
Right.
example, he would sniff out those onions on the pizza and alert you to it.
Right, but yeah, but that's how a dog smells. So they're very good. They're better at being dogs than we are at being humans, and that's for sure.
Well, they're certainly more loyal.
That's it. Yeah, definitely the loyalty. They win on that part. So he currently, his training is just the basic obedience. So the things that I do with him currently still is your sit down, heel and stay, things like that. Now I've taught him a little bit more, to crawl across the floor, to get low, to go back, different obstacles that I've built in the yard.
And that goes with the military training too, though. If the
Yep.
dog can't low crawl,
Yeah.
you probably got a dead dog if you're in combat.
Yeah. Low crawl, go through tunnels, and that's basic obedience. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, wow, you're still doing just basic obedience." Well, what a lot of people don't understand is the 10,000 hour rule, right? Everybody's heard it takes 10,000 hours or so to become a master at a thing. So repetition with a canine is the same as you and I picking up a guitar, not knowing how to play guitar and trying to learn. You want as many hours on the guitar as you possibly can. The same with the dog in training. I'll tell him to sit 1,000 times or 10,000 times before I move on to the next.
It's no different than a pilot.
Right.
You're judged by how many hours you put
That's it.
in flight.
Yeah.
So how many hours do you put with that dog?
Right.
And the results are going to be there.
Right. That's exactly right. So it's just the repetition. It's the hours. It's the time. It's and not moving on until he gets it. If he don't get it, don't move on. And that's simple. It's just repetition. So he's still sit down, heel stay, just various little stuff also. But what solely and eventually he will be trained to do is what's called a PSD, which is a psychiatric service dog. I'm going to train him to help me with my anxiety. And the anxiety thing and the PTSD thing, it's kind of a result of just years in the military, the combat deployments and things like that. And some of it has to do with just being out, not being in that same mindset.
Not only were you in Iraq, you were in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I was on board a ship when September 11th happened, actually. So we floated over there. I was part of OEF and OIF, which is Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Enduring Freedom was the initial phase of the Afghan War back in 2001, and then it really started ramping up in 2002.
So the dog is very important in that it does ebb the anxiety that veterans
Yeah.
feel at times. Does he sleep very near to you?
Yeah, yeah. So he has a big kennel inside of the garage, which is attached to the home, that he goes in just periodically through the night. Primarily, he's in the living room with me or wherever I'm at. I mean, if anybody who ever has had a dog, you know that you can't go anywhere in the house without the dog being right beside you. But even when we sleep, he goes into a crate that's beside the bed.
Okay.
And he sleeps in there. He goes in there for the whole night. But he's right next to me all the time.
Does he let you know when he's got to
Yeah,
go
oh, yeah,
outside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as he's gotten older, of course, he can go the whole night. We usually go to bed around 10 o'clock, get up at 5:30, something like that, 6 o'clock in the morning on average. So But now that he's a little older, he doesn't wake up through the night to tell me he's got to go to the restroom. You know, in the beginning, boy, there was.
He's a puppy.
Just like having a baby again, you know, you're getting up every couple hours and going outside, and there were sometimes he'd wake up 2 o'clock in the morning just ready to play, kind of like he's ready to play now.
Yeah.
That's that toy right there. That's one of his favorites. If you see that ball with the rope on it there, it's got a handle on one end, and I have two of them. So I'll take one and chuck it across the yard, and he'll go beating feet, full tilt across the yard to go get it. And then I'll pick up the other one while he's distracted with the other one, and we'll kind of do a round robin with that. With his ball here. He sure does love this thing though. But whenever you got a Malinois and you got one of these types of toys, if he's coming towards you, you better hold that thing with just 2 fingers lightly, because he's coming in, and if your hand's in the way, he's going to get it. And if you look there on my fingers, he's by accident.
He's just being a puppy.
Straight accident, you know.
Hold it up for the camera there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens if you're not careful.
This is just an accident, but if your hand's in the way, he's going to let you know with his mouth. That's what Malinois do. That's how they communicate, with their mouth, whether it's their barking or whether it's the bitiness. For anyone who doesn't know about a Malinois, they're just a very bitey dog. Now, that's not to steer anyone away from a Belgian Malinois, but I would only recommend a Malinois for individuals who have handled a dog at least, or have been around it, because their drive and their intelligence is on a different level. And it's they're not for the faint of heart. Definitely not. Now he's a good boy though. I mean, he's pretty mellow. His mom and dad are both just house dogs, right? Like they're not show, they're not working class, they're not. And this is what he usually does with towels.
He needs to play.
He does like to play. That's why I buy I'll go to one of the stores and just buy some cheap towels. I buy them by the dozen almost, because I put him in his kennel, he'll lay on them. I'll put him here to kind of lay on, and then he'll end up getting bored and want to play.
But when you tell him to be a service dog, then he's a service dog.
Right, exactly. And he does know the difference when it's time to work and when it's time to not. Now, he knows right now, because I've given him a couple of pig ears, and he's just kind of in a different environment, and I'm not really commanding him to do anything. He knows that he could just be a dog right now, and that's important. You know, he can't, especially a service dog that's in a training, you can't expect. They're just like kids. They have an attention span of about 10 minutes, and that's it. And then,
has he outgrown the chew stage yet? Do
no.
you have to keep your shoes out of reach?
No, he won't purposefully go towards things that he knows he shouldn't have. Accidentally, every now and then, he'll pick up something he shouldn't have, but he's not chewy on things like that. He knows what normally he can and can't. Now, he knows that he can, Echo. Good. He knows that he can play with this, and I'm not gonna get wound up about it. So that's why he's doing it. That's his blanket,
He's not
or
even
his
6
towel.
months old though, so he's still got lots of puppy left.
Oh,
in him.
he's got a whole lot of pup left. He's not considered full grown until what, a year and a half, 2 years old. So he's
He's got about another year of growth left in him.
He's in the adolescent or toddler era right now, currently, in just the way he acts and the way he thinks. So there's going to be days where he acts perfect and everything's AJ squared away. And then there's other days it's like he's running around with 2 middle fingers in the air. I mean, you can't contain him, and that's what it is. And you can't get mad at him for it. He's still a pup. Sometimes you got to let a dog just be a dog. And I think sometimes people do forget that, even when training a service dog. There's a time to train, there's time to let him be dog. Right now, he's being a dog, for sure.
Yeah, that's okay. You can play for the cameras, Echo.
Yeah.
You're a good boy.
Really? What?
So how long have you had Echo? You said he was born February 11th.
February 11th was when he was born, and I got him April 8th. So I got him at 8 weeks old, and I went to the breeder. I looked online. I went through, the AKC website, just to kind of look, to kind of gauge and get an idea.
You didn't go through any veterans programs to
No, I
get
didn't.
him. But we do have those available for veterans.
Man, there are so many good, awesome programs. K9 to Warriors, they're based out of Florida. There's a lot of them here in Indiana. There's adoptable service dog programs all over the place in Indiana. One of them's up north with the Hamilton County Humane Society. They provide service dogs to veterans. And there's another program called Pausability. Now, they're out of Louisville, I think, primarily. So they do service Indianapolis and a lot of the southern portions of this area here. And, that's just as simple as going to the website, filling out your information if you are a veteran and think that a service dog would benefit. Because there's all kinds of different service dogs. There's dogs that can assist with mobility issues. There's dogs, of course, that assist with deafness or loss of sight.
There's even dogs that can turn lights off and on for you.
Right, exactly. There's a lot of videos. Of course, you can go all over YouTube or different social media sites and see all kinds of dogs, service type animals doing all kinds of things for their handler. Going and fetching medicines to bring them. I mentioned don't eat that. Don't eat that. Play with your ball. Okay. Eventually, he'll be trained as a psychiatric service dog. One of the things that he'll do is, for me, is to, one, that sense of stability while in large crowds. He will be used as a block, kind of like a barrier. So he'll know when I feel anxious to get in between me and the problem, or to lead me out of the area.
It's really not any different than a military working dog getting between you and the problem.
Right. Yep. You're exactly right, and that's what they do.
The only difference is he won't be ready to attack when the problem comes too close.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not training him in aggression. However, he is a Malinois, so he is very bitey. But dogs are instinctually protective. It doesn't really matter the breed. But now, if I did train him in aggression,
The most gentle dog I've ever known, it was a female golden retriever.
yeah,
But if you harm one of those children that she's with, you're going to find out she's not so gentle anymore.
right, yep. Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. What is it?
What you got, buddy?
He's looking at me like, okay, Dad, it's time to play. This is about the usual time that I get home, and immediately the first thing I do as soon as I get through the door is we go outside and we just play for at least 30 minutes. I go outside and burn the wheels off of him, let him get a lot of exercise in. He'll do some obstacles while we're at home. I've built a couple of things, and he has other things that he'll want to go do. Jump on the coffee or the picnic table.
Well, you're okay. You're a good boy. Yes, he looks like he's ready to go do something. Well, let's talk about a little bit about your civilian job too while we're here.
Yeah, so a lot of talk about veterans and things like that. You see me pulling on him. don't worry, this is attached to his harness, his vest, so I'm pulling the whole dog, not just on the dog's neck.
Unlike the choke chains we used in the military.
Somebody saw me the other day pulling, and they're like, "You shouldn't be pulling on your dog's neck like that." And I said, "Well, the leash is attached to a harness, but okay." So anyway, talking about veterans and all this different types of thing, I stayed in the veteran realm. I worked for the Indiana Department of Workforce Development, and I'm what's called a DVOP, a Disabled Veteran Outreach Program Specialist. So what I do with DWD is assist veterans in becoming job ready. I help them find a career, transition out of the military, or just transition back into the workforce. And it's all veterans. They can come and see me.
Do you still talk to the veterans about the ABCs? Any job, better job, career
yeah.
job? Yes.
Yeah. A lot of the veterans that come to me are your middle age or elder age, and a lot of them are maybe retired from one job. They're just looking for additional work or something like that. But I do get veterans that come in that they would just like assistance, because sometimes they don't know how to translate their skills. Whether it be an individual that did a 4-year contract in any branch of the military, or whether it's somebody like myself who spent their entire adult life and they kind of don't know what direction to go. That's kind of what I'm there for, to help get that out of them. What is it that they want to do? What is it that they like to do? And where are they trying to get?
Somebody that served in the infantry, as an example, there's not a lot of civilian jobs that would translate to the infantry. However, your physical fitness after you come out of the infantry is second to none.
That and the leadership abilities.
And so you got the firefighter job and the police officer job come to mind real quick, because you are physically fit already. You don't need to work out to make it through the academy.
Yeah, right off the bat, a lot of people coming out of the military, I would, take what was given to you. You spent 4 years. Let's say a veteran did 4 years. They got out of the service and they're in the best shape of their life. Utilize that to your advantage. A lot of times with these younger guys, and if that's not what they want, dig in, peel that onion back, find out what it is, and try to help them the best you can. Playtime.
That's fine. He can play all he wants to, as long as he doesn't start chewing the cords for the cameras and the microphones. We'll be okay.
Now, of course, when he was a pup, I mean, everything was fair game for chewing. These days he kind of has a better idea.
He differentiates.
What to chew and what not to chew. So that's a good thing.
So would you recommend a service dog for any veteran that may be in need?
If anybody is in need of a service dog, I would recommend one. Especially individuals who might have struggle, any type of mobility type struggle, or even some form of anxiety coupled with PTSD. Dogs can be calming, very, very calming. And I think that's what a lot of veterans need, is something to kind of ground them back down just a little bit. I think just having that companionship, because if you think about it, a service member spends 4 years of their time surrounded by like-minded people and in this cohesive unit, and they separate from the military. Now they're out here in the middle of nowhere. They don't have that cohesiveness. Having the dog, a service dog specifically, can really bring that cohesion back.
Support.
Yep, support, definitely. I mean, who wouldn't like that?
I like it just fine.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I know about the anxiety. We had anxiety every time we had to leave an assignment. We had to leave our dog behind.
Yeah.
Somebody else got the dog. So it was very
And
much.
now, of course, in the military, a military working dog is a piece of equipment. It's the same as a service rifle, the same as going to supply and grabbing all your gear when you check into a new unit. And that's kind of unfortunate. because one thing that I learned, the dog that I had, I kept the same dog. So once I left that duty station, the dog retired, and I got to keep the dog. I kept the dog the whole time. And
You
the
were lucky.
longer, right, and the longer that you spend the same amount of time with the same animal, the better the bond
The
grows,
greater the bond, absolutely.
the better the dog works for you. I mean, Taz and I had such a relationship to where I didn't even have to verbally command him at all to do anything. It's almost like he instinctively knew what to do next a lot of times. And of course, he lived to be just short of 14 years old, and that's pretty old for a chocolate lab. So
Yes, it is.
he had a good run. But I've always been a fan of. I wish that the military would. I wish that the military would utilize one dog, one handler type. So that way the bond just grows stronger because the dog works much better. Yeah, you can tell he's
ready to go play.
he's definitely ready to.
Well, Jerome, I guess we can wrap it up so you can
Yeah.
take him out of here. We've been going at it about 50 minutes or thereabouts now.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you so much for coming here and bringing Echo and talking about the necessity of having a dog if you need it.
Yeah.
If anybody needs any assistance with obtaining a dog, if there's a veteran out there that needs a service dog, please feel free to contact my office at 812-275-6411. Again, 812-275-6411. If you're a veteran looking for a job, Jerome, you want to give them your phone number?
Yeah, sure. You can contact me. Again, I'm the veterans rep with the Department of Workforce Development in the southern region here in Indiana. I cover Lawrence County and a lot of the surrounding counties. But the number that you can contact me is area code 812-318-0048. And that goes that doesn't go to some front desk where you're going to have to press 1 for an option. That goes directly to my work cell phone, so it's attached to my hip. So they're able to just get right in touch with me if they need assistance.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your service to our country with the United States Marine Corps. And thank you for your service to our state as a DVOP rep.
Yeah.
We really appreciate what you do to help the veterans after they get out of the military. So I guess on behalf of the Lawrence County Museum and the Veterans History Project, I'll bid everyone a fond farewell and ask you to keep Lee Hutchinson in your prayers. And hopefully he'll be back with us on the next episode. So, Joe, I want to thank you for being here with us today. Really appreciate your help. Couldn't do it without you. Again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, Brad. And thank you for your service and your continued dedication
Really
to
appreciate it.
helping the
Really
veterans.
appreciate it. Yeah, we're glad to help anybody out we can.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So as we close, I'll remind everyone, if you love your freedom, be sure to thank a veteran. So long, everyone.